You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, General Hospital fans, we have got Willow and Drew's wedding at the end of this week, but is Willow gonna be a runaway bride after somebody drops a bombshell? Is Drew gonna be jilted at the altar? It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we're gonna talk about whether Willow finally gets a clue before it's too late and skips out on her obsessed bad boy groom, Drew Cain, cutthroat Quartermain. Fans would love it. I'd love it. And hey, please click that subscribe button. And now let's dig in. So Willow and Drew's wedding day is fast approaching. It kicks off the end of this week, and it's not going to go the way Willow or her fiance Drew think it will. We know from official General Hospital spoilers there's chaos at the wedding, and it actually starts before the wedding. You know, we've got Nina and Leisl and Curtis and Portia more desperate by the minute to stop Willow from ruining her life by becoming Mrs. Drew Cain, and most importantly, just to stop Drew from this tear he's been on. This week, Portia told Willow what kind of man she's marrying. She said Drew wants Michael to look like an opioid addict, but to Portia's horror, Willow didn't even bat an eyelash at Drew's blackmail and dirty scheming. Willow condoned what Drew was plotting and said, if that's what it takes to get her kids back, that's fine, because Michael played dirty, so why shouldn't she? And after picking her jaw up off the floor, Portia called Nina and said, come see me right away. And then Portia says Willow, her whole reaction just terrified her, and she's wondering what has Drew done to Willow. And so although she already knew it, Nina realizes things are so much worse than she thought, and tells that to Ava this week. What I thought was really interesting also was that Drew has figured out that Willow was the one probably targeting Daisy and tormented Sasha into leaving town. And boy, did he look like a proud, perverted uncle, right? He realized it. He didn't confront her. He was like, yeah, this is the woman I'm going to marry, right? Right in his wheelhouse. And that's scary. So, you know, Nina wants to shut this wedding down. And so she's thinking, all right, I may just have to tell the truth about sleeping with Drew. And Nina may think, okay, even if Willow winds up hating me and wants nothing to do with me, it's worth it if I get her away from Drew. And Curtis is equally desperate. After Portia tried to get Willow to see reason and then realized she's just as bad as Drew, Curtis is going to drop by to see Portia and finds her freaking out and tells Curtis, if you've got a move to make it. He wants to shut Drew down once and for all. And Curtis recently told Nina, sometimes you have to betray a friend. And he's going to repeat that phrase this week, looks like, before he actually does it. Because after Curtis said that, he had a flashback to Nina telling him about her affair with Drew way back when. So yeah, looks like Curtis could spill the beans to Willow, and it's going to come as she's getting ready to walk down the aisle. Curtis shows up to the room where she's doing her makeup and stuff and says he's going to fight to save Willow, but it means he's going to betray a friend. Obviously her mom, Nina, most likely, unless it's a bait and switch. So I feel like Curtis is probably going to blab to Willow about Nina and Drew's fling. The only way I think he won't is if someone interrupts them, or if Willow says, look, nothing you say is going to stop this wedding, bugger off, you know. However, we all know that bombshell's way overdue, and too many people know it's got to come out. Once Willow finds out, then she is in this place where she has to make a decision about her future and who she can trust. I mean, she can try and deny it and say she doesn't believe Curtis, but it would certainly explain a lot of things that Nina has said and done where it comes to Drew and her intense level of animosity. So in the end, I think Willow's going to have to accept that it's true, but what then? Is this wedding to Drew over before it starts? Will there be I don't instead of I do? So there's kind of just a few outcomes possible. I want to talk about those first. Most obvious, Willow could just go ahead and marry Drew, despite what Curtis tells her. And in the end, Willow could decide, what the hell, I'm in so deep already. I'm just going to go. Drew loves me. I love him. His fling with my mom is long over. It was a mistake. I mean, unfortunately, that is a very likely outcome of this scenario. But at the same time, we are almost at the end of July sweeps, and Willow ditching Drew at the altar would score huge ratings. He is so hated. So we got to talk about that as another possible outcome. It would be amazing and unexpected, and let's face it, fans would love it. Can you imagine if Willow just runs off after Curtis drops the bombshell? What if Willow ran off without even seeing Drew? Everybody's in the chapel expecting the bride to walk down the aisle. Drew's staring at the door, excited to see her come in her gown. And instead, somebody comes in and says, Willow's gone. Curtis would be happy to say, haha, Drew, your girl ran off. The downside to that is we wouldn't get to see a wedding day Willow versus Mama Nina confrontation. And that leads to another possible outcome. We could see the bomb drop, it explodes, and then there's a big showdown where Willow confronts Drew and Nina at the altar. The reason I feel like that's less likely is because Scout is in the room and she's just had a conversation with Willow about, should I call you mom, So we could see her thinking about what Curtis says, and assuming he does go ahead and tell her, Willow could storm down the aisle, confront Drew and Nina, and then Willow runs off alone, leaving her not groom and her mom shocked. So I think a runaway bride scenario would be the coolest outcome, whether it comes with or without a big confrontation at the altar. And if Willow does run off, she might head up to Isaiah's cabin, because there was a fair amount of talk between Willow and Isaiah about the cabin Lucky left him. So Willow knows Isaiah is going to be up there and it's isolated. He's alone. It seems like all that cabin talk is not for nothing, right? Of course, could be Portia who winds up running off to the cabin to be alone because she's freaking out. However, equally, it could be Willow. She knows nobody would look for her at Isaiah's cabin. Hardly anybody knows he even owns it or where it is. So Willow could lie low there to avoid Drew, to avoid Nina, to avoid the fallout and the backlash. 3 weeks back, we reported on a rumor we heard about Willow possibly moving back to the Quartermaine mansion for a while to be close to Michael and the kids. This rumor didn't say anything about Willow and Michael getting romantic, just that it was a way for her to be near her children. So Willow might hide at Isaiah's cabin just for a minute, just to catch her breath. And then maybe Willow reaches out to Michael, tells him she dumped Drew, and asks to come back and stay and be around her kids. Because Michael told her, get rid of Drew, you can have the kids back in your life. So this could be the watershed moment. I can't wait to see how it all goes down at the wedding. And while I do hope Willow pulls a runner and bails on Drew, leaving him at the altar, we got to remember, even if we get excited, even if that happens, that doesn't mean he won't be able to change her mind later, because Willow is so susceptible to Drew's gaslighting.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.